Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, boom, 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 we are back home in Miami just like that. I just got in back from Dallas or Frisco. I got back from Dallas just yesterday, and I've been editing and finishing up all my coverage. So if you guys haven't checked out the coverage on the channel already from the Romo Gonzalez, Kal Yafai fight, from the Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas fight, go check out all the videos. Most of them dropped, but there's still some dropping. But let's talk about the man himself. Let's talk about the former 4 division champion. Let's talk about the former lineal flyweight champion. Let's talk about the former pound for pound king of boxing. Let's talk about that man that we affectionately refer to on this channel as the real TBE. Let's talk about Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, because once again, our boy Roman Gonzalez is champion again. He's world champion again, and he turned in one of the best performances, and I would even argue maybe the best performance of his career against the previously undefeated Kal Yafai to win and capture the WBA super flyweight title. Now, I was there ringside at the Ford Center. It was a great event. It was a great card by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. Top to bottom was really great out of boxing. And just watching Roman Gonzalez in the ring, seeing him, throw punches, turn Kal Yafai, hit him with a 4-punch combination, slip after the 4-punch combination, seeing him set up the devastating right hand at the end of the fight in the 9th round. To see him at 32 years old, considering all he's gone through in his career, I mean, let's backtrack here for a second. This is a guy, Roman Gonzalez, who lost his mentor, Alex Arguello, the great Alex Arguello, when he was only 22, 23 years old, just before his second title defense of the WBA minimum weight title. So there was that early in his career. Then later on in his career, he loses his longtime trainer, Arnulfo Obando, one of his mentors, one of his father figures in boxing. He loses him about 3 months after the Carlos Cuadras fight. Then he suffers he gets robbed on the cards in the first Rungvisai fight. Comes back in the second Rungvisai fight. Psychologically not the same fighter when you add everything that went on before the fight. Gets knocked out in devastating fashion, and the entire boxing world wrote him off. Fast forward 2018, fights Moises Fuentes. You got the commentators on what was it, Golden Boy Promotions and HBO talking about how he's not the same fighter no more, while he's turning in a great performance against a former world champion in Fuentes. He gets the call to fight the UK's longest reigning world champion. We're not calling Kal Yafai the best world champion from the UK, because that he is not. But nonetheless, the UK's longest reigning world champion, who in his own right, people want to slag him off now and say that he's a bum now, but in his own right, a solid fighter. Kal Yafai had beat Luis Concepcion in a marvelous performance in a fight that many people picked him to lose. So you can make the argument that Kal Yafai shouldn't have even been world champion in the first place, because he was the underdog going into the Concepcion fight, but he boxed beautifully that night, captured the world title, defended his belt against the likes of Sho Ishida and the David Carmonas of the world. Had a controversial fight with Israel Gonzalez, but this was his time to prove himself against Roman Gonzalez, and what we got in this fight was Roman Gonzalez turning back the clock. And I wouldn't even just say that. I wouldn't even just say he turned back the clock. I think on this night, we didn't just see him turn back the clock, but we saw him reinvent himself. Yes, you're damn right I said it. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez reinvented himself, okay? And I'm going to explain to you guys how I believe he reinvented himself. So if you watch the fight and you just look at it from a tactical standpoint, when we watch Roman Gonzalez from a tactical standpoint, he's a fighter that's, his balance is as good as it comes. His angles, the punches, the volume, these things are great. These things have always been the character traits and the stylistic attributes that made Roman Gonzalez what he is. The punch output, the balance, the work rate, all that stuff. But there was one subtle adjustment that I think his trainer, and shout out to Marcos Caballero, who's been his trainer since the Moises Fuentes fight. There's one subtle adjustment that I thought was great, and I think that was the use of his jab and his front hand. And I'm going to explain. So if you go back and you watch the fight, there are many times in that fight where Roman Gonzalez was, from the orthodox stance, obviously, throwing that jab a lot more, leading with the jab more. But then there were also times when Kal Yafai, because Kal Yafai, he did try to bully Roman Gonzalez. He tried to impose his size, being that he was the bigger man in the ring. And Roman Gonzalez, a lot of times he would just, not throw a punch, but he would use his lead hand, the left hand, the jab hand, to kind of measure him, spin off of him, control the head, and then it was such a subtle adjustment that many people maybe didn't catch on the night. But when I was sitting there ringside and I saw it, I said, "Yo, this is a big adjustment for this is a big adjustment for Chocolatito, and this allowed him to control the center of the ring. This allowed him to fight the fight he wanted to fight. And when Kal Yafai closed the distance, Roman Gonzalez was able to outwork him, and he was the much sharper puncher on the inside, because one problem Kal Yafai had all night is when he decided when Kal Yafai decided to close the distance and try to get into a dogfight with Chocolatito, his shots were just too wide. His shots were too wide. And they needed to be a lot more compact against Roman Gonzalez. Now, obviously, I'm just the guy looking from the outside of the ring. I don't know what he's actually seeing in front of himself inside that chamber of truth, inside that squared circle. But that's what I was seeing. When you fight a guy like Chocolatito, you gotta be as short and compact as possible. And Kal Yafai failed to do that. So because of that, and because of him failing to adjust, make another adjustment in the fight and continuing to fight on the inside and trying to bully Roman Gonzalez, he got his ass taxed in a very major way. I think for Cal, he would have been better suited after the second or third round to try to box from the outside. But again, it's a lot easier said than done, because Chocolatito is one of those intelligent pressure fighters, probably arguably the best pressure fighter of the last 25 years. I'm not even saying that like to exaggerate. He's arguably the best pressure fighter of the last quarter century, because he with his balance, with his understanding of ring generalship, with his his ability to not waste punches and be very intelligent and economical with his work. He's the kind of fighter that makes you fight when you don't want to fight. He makes you move when you don't want to move, and he's the kind of fighter that will establish leverage on his front foot while he's moving forward and closing that guy and cutting that distance. And it was just, I was sitting there ringside with the two guys. I was sitting there ringside press row, and the two guys that I had next to me, to my right, were two people that I have to say, and I have to preface everything I'm going to say here. Two people that I respect so much in this boxing game, and I had directly to my right next to me, I had Sean Tittel of Fight Hype, formerly of the Boxing Voice, one of the best media interviewers in the sport of boxing, and one of the best boxing minds you'll find in boxing media, Sean Tittel. So shout out to him. Go check him out if you haven't already. And then obviously a guy that we all know here in boxing, Radio Raheem. He was 2 seats to my right, and I interacted with these guys here and there during the fight, and even they they were marveled. They were marveling at the skills of Chocolatito and just how great he was on the night, because it was a virtuoso performance. It was a picture perfect performance. If the boxing ring was a canvas, then damn it, Roman Gonzalez was the Picasso of boxing on the night, because he was absolutely just painting Kal Yafai with whatever he wanted to do. And for Roman Gonzalez, Chocolatito, just for a historical context, guys, I've heard many people call Roman Gonzalez the Michael Carbajal of this generation, of this era, which I think is a fair comparison, because Michael Carbajal was the dominant little man of the 90s. Had the won a gold medal on the Olympic team. Great fighter in his own right. Did unprecedented things as a flyweight fighter. So I understand it. Roman Gonzalez, same thing. Michael Carbajal was a guy, when he won his last world title fight, he was only a couple of months shy of his 32nd birthday with Michael Carbajal. When he stopped Jorge Arce, I believe it was 1999, when he fought the great Jorge Arce, the Mexican fighter, and he got him out of there. Now listen, Roman Gonzalez is well into being 32 years old. Carbajal won that title when he was 31, just before he turned 32. Gonzalez is well into being 32, and he'll be 33 probably by the time he has his next fight, because his birthday is in June. So we're talking about Chocolatito Gonzalez potentially entering his mid-30s, still competing in the upper echelons of the flyweight division, still turning in pound-for-pound caliber performances after everybody said he was done and he was shot. Listen, there's a reason why I said this guy was a fighter of the decade. There was a reason why I've hyped this guy up so much. There is a reason why I've always spoken greatly of Chocolatito Gonzalez. And once more, the king has his crown. The real TBE is back. And he is here, and he wants all the motherfucking smoke. So, shout out to Roman Gonzalez. It was probably the best performance of the night, because he took a guy in Kal Yafai who was younger, who was bigger, who was undefeated, who had, regardless of what people want to say about Kal Yafai's questionable resume at the elite level, he still had beaten some solid fighters on the way up. And, like I said earlier, when he fought Concepcion, a lot of people were picking the 2-division champion Concepcion to beat Kal Yafai, so you can make the argument that he was never supposed to be the world champion in the first place. But he had the belt for quite a long time. and he took a fighter in Kal Yafai who had struggled in the past, in some recent fights and didn't look sensational. But regardless, nobody was beating him. Nobody made Kal Yafai look like that. And as a smaller, older, quote unquote, shot fighter who had nothing left in the tank, he took that boy and he folded him up like a blue steel chair. So all we can do is respect Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez as he's now become world champion again. And listen, this is a man that wants all the smoke. He's trying to unify the division. We've heard talk about Gaia Strada and potentially unifying, and I think that'd be a great fight. There's a lot of options from you got Kasazoto Ioka, you got the Tanaka fight maybe in the works. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Julio Cesar Martinez, who had a great fight on the undercard as well against Jay Harris. I thought that was fight of the night, but he's back. The King's got his motherfucking crown, and I'm cursing a bit because I'm really excited about Roman Gonzalez because. I mean, the guy is just the Picasso of boxing. The guy is the Picasso of boxing. I mean, the footwork, the balance, the intelligent pressure, it was just beautiful. So all credit has to go to Chocolatito for picking himself up after what's been a really tough part of his career and his life. Losing, close members of his team and his, and basically a family member, Arnulfo Obando. Then losing a couple of tough fights to Rungvisai, one controversially, one unquestionably. He even said himself, Chocolatito, he contemplated retiring from boxing. But he's here. He picked himself up because that's what true champions do. They don't make excuses. They don't blame things outside the ring. They pick themselves up. They look inward. They put their faith in God. They work their asses off. They get into that ring fearlessly. And they perform on the night, and that's Chocolatito did. And I legitimately believe that we might be in store for a special second title reign from Chocolatito Gonzalez. I mean, there's some great matchups out there for him, and we'll definitely be covering that here on True School Sports. But as you can see, I'm a bit long-winded because I'm a bit excited. I'm so freaking excited about this fight. Look, guys, look, what is it? It's March the 2nd as I'm shooting this, and in about 6 hours, it'll be March the 3rd. That fight took place, February 29th, so we're talking, the 1st. So it's been about 2 days, 2 days going on 3, and I still got my Matchroom Boxing wristband on. I mean, look, that's my Matchroom Boxing wristband, and this is kind of like your credential, because they don't really give you credentials when you go to Matchroom Boxing fights. They give you the wristband. So technically, I'm still wearing my credential, because that's how freaking turned up and hyped I am about Chocolatito becoming world champion. So let me know what you guys think. What did you make of the Roman Gonzalez performance against Kal Yafai? Was it the best performance of his career? I'd like to know what you guys think in the comments down below, all my Chocolatito fans. And yeah, man, I'm just happy about it. So let me know what you think about the real TV returning back to the throne of the super flyweight division. And take the time to subscribe. Like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.